on. On. If you don't like rap music and haven't for a long time, you won't get that reference. Anyway, welcome back to the It Bees Like That podcast. I'm your host Chris, and this morning I am here with a very day one fundamental, but all the same very useful nutrition tip. Excuse me. Now, to preface this, and apologies first, there's no intention to gender this issue. It is what it is. In my experience as a coach, I see that, or have seen, coaching women and men, that women have significantly harder time wrapping their head around eating larger volumes of nutrient-dense, single-ingredient whole foods. Women are, from what I've seen, more chronically underfed and in a perpetual deficit, literally and figuratively, meaning in their mind. And I can't tell you how difficult it has been with some female clients to pull them out of that. Like, you literally couldn't pull them out with a cat or fucking dig them out with a backhoe. They are dug in. They're not giving up that deficit because they think that if they increase nutrition in any way, shape, or form, that instantly what that means on the other side of that is fat gain, which is a ridiculous notion. But sometimes, like the name of the show says, it bees like that sometimes. So, with that in mind, moving forward, I have a tip which I've seen has helped a lot of people who are new to macro tracking, meal prepping, etc. Just the sheer volume of clean food versus even the technically clean foods that people like to eat. So like the factor meals and like the meal delivery services where they say there's certain ingredients and they're prepped a certain way with certain things, but you never really know. The only way to take full control of your nutrition is to buy raw, single ingredient, nutrient dense, whole foods. Buy the food, cook the food, eat the food. That is the most accurate way to take control of your nutrition habits. Moving toward the tip. Jesus Christ. I'm a 12-year-old sometimes in my brain. For those of you new to the stuff we just talked about, macro tracking, meal prepping, shopping lists, etc., one surefire way, and I put this out there a lot. I put it out on social media, in other videos. I don't know that it lands. I want it to, and I hope it does, but this is your safest and surest way in to macro tracking, all that stuff. So, whatever your body weight or goal weight, I need you to, across 3 to 4, even 5 meals, whatever works best for you. If you like larger meals, spread it across 3 to 4 meals. If you like smaller meals, spread it across 4 to 5 meals. However it suits you, do that. But I need you to take your current body weight or your goal weight in grams of protein and spread that across X amount of meals. Do that every day, changing nothing else. Just that, meaning don't change the way you work out. Don't change any of the other ways that you eat. Don't change your cardio, nothing. People often ask me, well, why wouldn't I change anything else? You start changing all of the other variables or a bunch of variables, it becomes really, really difficult to figure out which ones are making the biggest impact as far as the response from our body. Right? So if we're only changing one, chances are any response we get from our body or lack of response, right, we're going to be able to point towards that variable. So, changing nothing else, and most of you aren't getting enough protein. Why this is so hard, I don't know. But it is, especially for women. This is the hardest thing to do, is get your protein intake in. And honestly, I'm not feeling bad for y'all. Once you get north of like 225 grams of protein, then talk to me about how hard it is to get your protein intake for the day. When you're down around 135, 140, 160, come on. I don't want to hear it. Eat the damn protein. Anyway, it's a solid way to introduce. And then do that for, I don't know. I usually write people for a month. But depending on where you're at in your fitness journey, how closely you're working with a coach, someone who gives a damn, do that for a week. Continue to do that for the long run. Do that for a week and then track and record responses at the end of 7 days, 7 full days. So that means on the 8th day, you look at your responses, you look at all the data, missing none of it, accounting for all of it, and you say, all right, this is where I started, this is where I'm at, what changes or responses have I noticed? It may not be a change on the scale. It may be something like, okay, wow, like a friend of mine recently, wow, I'm feeling less hungry in between meals. I'm not having as intense sugar cravings, and I love my sweets. I'm sleeping better. I'm having more energy. I'm sweating a little more when I work out. All of these things can be cues that we're getting a response from a change in our protein habits or nutritional habits, right? Usually that first week you may not, with protein, see you may see a marginal response, but nothing too crazy, especially if you're only going 1 gram per pound of body weight. It's not a crazy increase. You're just going from underfed to properly fed, just with regard to protein, right? In the second week, just depends on what kind of response we see. We may then, more than likely, wherever your carbohydrates are, slowly start increasing those. Now, we're going to pay more attention and be a bit more thoughtful to that, because this is where people see the biggest responses in the mirror and on the scale, and panic and develop an even bigger and unhealthier idea about food, right? They automatically see that data on the scale as bad or negative, not looking at it as just information and anything that they have direct control over, but as something that's happening to them and that nothing they can do anything about, right? They just freak out, panic, and then what? Straight back into that old POW mindset, not eating shit and driving themselves into the ground, which is insanity. And wonder why they're inflamed, injured more often than they've ever been in their entire life, and they attribute this to being old, which is maybe part of the case, but more than likely it's because you're not eating enough, sleeping enough, drinking enough water, and you're working out way too damn much. But what do I know? So that's the tip. Start with that. 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. And then second week, reevaluate it. For most of you, you're going to see you're going to need to go through at least 2 weeks. That way 14 days is a good, even a month, but 14 days minimum is enough time to say, okay, well, any major responses that could have been seen with this change probably would have, more than likely than not, would have been seen within this 14-day time window. Didn't see anything crazy. Cool. So we're going to keep protein there. That's a good signal for you. This is good information, right? Along with all the other things. Then we'll start tracking your carbohydrates, right? Wherever they are at currently. And we're just going to add maybe 5 to 10% the first week. So let's say, I don't know,
that would bring you to 185, 190 grams of protein.
And people, they've gotten the keto flu, or like the freaking keto virus in their brain that tells them anything. Like 150 is max. Anything above 150, you're going to get fat as shit. You want to stay below 100. Oh my God. Listen, I know that there are approaches that work for everyone, and applause to anyone who's found a formula and approach that not only gives you peace mentally, right? You can feel good about the process. You understand it. It makes sense in your mind. It fits seamlessly or as seamlessly as possible into your life, becoming a part of your lifestyle and not something that is more of a detriment or an obstacle. But anyway, again, folds in pretty easily. Congratulations. I'm stoked for you. Back here in the real world, where carbohydrates are not evil, they do not make you get fat, but simply by looking at them or going over 150 grams in a day, we're going to teach you how to not only enjoy your carbohydrates, but push them even higher than you ever thought humanly possible, and feel better, perform better, sleep better, and not get fat. Pretty wacky stuff, I know. For another episode, this is what I want from you though. The tip is, again, your body weight in grams of protein per day. Start there. Do that for a week. Track it. Track and record and evaluate responses after 7 days. So that means on the 8th day, depending on how significant of a response, we'll circle back, reevaluate. If you care to drop your responses below in the comments, I'd be more than excited to know and offer some guidance individually for anyone who's got questions. But this stuff doesn't have to be complicated, and it doesn't have to suck. It doesn't have to be dry-ass chicken jerky. It can be fun food that tastes delicious. It makes you feel great and look great at the same time. And this is a really, really, really easy way to get your foot in the door. Anyway, if you didn't do it on the way in, please think about doing it on the way out. Hit that like, subscribe, post notification bell so you can stay up to date on all the cool, life-changing, phenomenally impactful, and veritable surplus of information and other things that we discuss here on the ABs Like That podcast. Peace, y'all.